Looks like Rogue One's getting pretty good reviews. I got an idea. Let's go see it. Alright, I'm on my way to go see Rogue One. It is stupid cold in Indianapolis today, but I'm excited because I'm a Star Wars fan. I've always been a Star Wars fan. I can't remember a point in time in my life where Star Wars wasn't a part of it. So when Disney bought the franchise a year ago, or a couple years ago, I was super excited with what they might do making new movies. Having loved the original trilogy, I was kind of really stupidly disappointed with the prequels. I just felt like George Lucas kind of lost the thread of what made Star Wars Star Wars. Have you ever noticed that in the prequel trilogy there's no hyperspeed? You don't see hyperspeed from inside any of the spaceships. Minor gripe. But it's just an example of how George Lucas just kind of forgot what made Star Wars Star Wars. So when Disney bought the franchise, I was excited, but I was kind of terrified for any sequels they might make. But I was excited once they hired J.J. Abrams because he's a filmmaker that I trust. I love Super 8. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I thought The Force Awakens was really good for what it was. And what it was a vehicle to kind of get you acclimated to new characters. I have zero interest in seeing someone else play Han Solo. It's just a character that's Harrison Ford in my mind. So when they announced the anthologies, I wasn't excited until I found out what the plot to Rogue One was, and that got me excited. The plot to Rogue One is something we've all wondered about, but haven't seen on film, and it's good because you can do it without involving most of the characters from the original trilogy. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. I do have some apprehensions for director Gareth Edwards. I wasn't a huge fan of his Godzilla movie. I thought it was a little too slow in the early goings, and then the payoff of actually seeing Godzilla and the destruction really wasn't worth the time we spent getting to know the characters. That just turned out to be not that exciting. So I was kind of apprehensive, but then I recently saw his first movie, Monsters, and I was really excited by it. If you haven't seen it, it's a really kind of low-key monster movie about two people trying to make their way back to the United States from Mexico. And it hits all the good monster movie notes. It knows exactly what it needs to do, and it does it in a fair amount of time. And I was very excited by that movie because it was done on a really low budget. And if you can do that kind of film with almost no money, what can you do with Star Wars money? I just want to point out that it's 7 degrees in Indianapolis. 7. Alright, we are here at the movie theater. Now, for it being 7 degrees outside, it's not all that cold, really. I take that back, it's freezing. It's really not too cold, but I just almost bit it on a piece of ice. That would have been fun to catch on camera. Holy crap. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, stars Felicity Jones as Jyn Erso. And just in case, like I said, you've been living underneath a rock for the last couple years, the story is how Jyn Erso gets drafted by the Rebel Alliance to infiltrate the Empire and steal the plans to the now operational Death Star. I have to say right off the bat, I was super enthusiastic about this movie. Just a huge smile on my face throughout the entire thing. There's so many nod backs to the original trilogy. Not only in just, putting pieces in place for the original trilogy to happen, but also just nods and production design. everything feels very lived in and dirty like the original trilogy, and they've used some of the production elements from the prequels. Some of the ships resemble stuff that you saw in the prequels, so they're kind of trying to bridge the gap between the films, and this film sits in a pocket really, really well in the universe, and I was super happy with just that. And beyond that, I found myself getting emotionally involved with the characters, although I had just met them. I felt myself, just the way the film is constructed, identifying and enjoying the stories of the characters. The acting is great across the board. I really enjoyed Felicity Jones's Jyn Erso. She's a very strong lead, and she has a compelling backstory. For those of you wondering about the use of Darth Vader, he's used just enough in the film. He just has a few key scenes, and one scene in particular that's really, really rewarding and awesome. Having seen Gareth Edwards' earlier films, I was kind of worried about the pacing in the early goings, because I know he likes to kind of backload his films. And I gotta say, the pacing is downright perfect in this film. It starts off very slow. It's a very slow burn of a film, but when it hits the gas pedal hard, and it flies through the last act of that film. It's just a ton of fun to watch. I am a big fan of The Force Awakens. I really like what J.J. Abrams and company did with that film. I thought it was a great reintroduction to the Star Wars universe, but I think I liked Rogue One more. Partly because it's just so much fun, and partly because it took something we knew and expanded on it instead of extending it, if that makes any sense. I just really enjoyed this film. I'd like a number 14 with ketchup and mustard only, please.
All right, anything else?
That is it.
435, 340.
Thank you. Thank you. You too. All in all, I was really happy with what they did with Rogue One. I was interested in the story from a fan standpoint, and it paid off in more or less every way. So, I don't know what kind of grading system I'm going to do in this series, but A-, 4.5 stars, I guess? I don't know. We're going to do more of these as the new year begins, so I hope you'll tune in for them. Make sure you hit subscribe down below so you can check out all my reviews, including Does This Movie Suck? And the show, which is tentatively titled Let's Go See It. I don't know. So we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, bye.